everyone. We are back with Bitrix Fusion podcast and our segment called Faces, where we talk with our partners about very important topics. And my name is Alex, and I'm joined today by my colleague.
And my name is Vlad. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be joined by a partner live in the studio today. This is our partner from Indonesia. Please welcome.
Hello, my name is Michael from Askrasoft. I'm a business partner based in Indonesia.
Yeah, it's really great to have our partners live with us in the studio, because usually we have like a call with our partners, and now we're having it live, and it's amazing to have you here, Michael. And today we have a really important topic to talk about.
Yes. So today, as always, we want to get into something that really is going to help our partners out, something that's going to help them sell more. And of course, that's going to be the art of upselling, right? We want to concentrate on helping our partners make more money, help them be more successful. And by doing that, I think one of the best ways is to sell our tariffs that are a little bit higher, upsell on features that might be included in those tariffs. And Michael here, our partner today, is really going to break it down in how he's having success in upselling to his clients.
Yeah, Michael's company is really successful with this, and they are our all-time and very decorated partners, so his expertise is very valuable to our newer partners, like always, but I think our even more experienced partners will still get a lot of benefits of this podcast.
Yeah.
So, Michael, at the very beginning, could you tell us a little bit more about your expertise and your company in general?
Sure, thank you, Alex. So we have been a Bitrix partner, I think, since 2017 or 2018, I believe, and we have deployed more than 100 Bitrix projects, especially more on the on-premise edition. We have developed also several modules based on Bitrix 24 and has deployed in multiple industries, finance, sector or private sector, such as manufacturing, distributor. So we kind of have a lot of experience with Bitrix 24.
Sure.
Now.
Wonderful. Now, you said you do have a lot of experience with Bitrix 24. What are the most common challenges that you are seeing when you are working with new companies and trying to implement using Bitrix 24?
Okay, so the challenge is that when the people see the Bitrix 24 platform, they see a lot of features, a lot of functionality, and sometimes they confuse, okay, which one, which part of functionality should we use for we implement. So we kind of tell them that what is their main pain point, what is the main issue right now. We try to implement step by step. We have a methodology to implement it, make sure that this solution can solve their problem, can benefit their company, and can help their company grow.
Yeah, I agree with you that when you start working with Bitrix 24, it can get a little overwhelming. That it has a lot of tools, it had a lot of instruments, but I think that a good expertise of partner can help you break it down to your client and explain how this instrument can help you with this. How, for example, tasks can be valuable to you, how CRM can be valuable to you. So this overwhelming amount of features is actually going to be beneficial in future for them.
Yeah, and like I said, some of the customers often say Bitrix 24, like what Michael said, when you first open it up, it's intimidating, right? It has that intimidation factor. But with a good partner, I think that intimidation factor kind of scales down. And then, as Michael said, once you really break down the pain point and you understand really what the client really needs, I guess it's not as intimidating, we'll say that.
Yeah, and speaking about your clients, what are the types of businesses that usually start working with Bitrix 24 and start working with you?
Yeah, so we have a diverse type of clients actually. So we have a large enterprise client for 500 employee plus. We have a small business as well, 50 to around 200 employees, and we have also a very small business, less than 50 employees. And the sector, we have manufacturing, we have IT as well, we have a distributor, we have a banking sector, finance sector, so there are multiple sectors. So basically, most of our clients are looking for a solution to digitalize their business process, where there's a sales process, where there's a collaboration tools to communicate with each other, and some others workflow automation is what most of our clients are looking for on that.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And the level they start, is it also diverse? Because we regularly hear that companies want to start digitalization of their business. Are they starting with like no experience with it, or maybe they tried something? Is there any pattern in here?
Yeah, if we look at the patterns, most of them they are doing it almost manually, and they are having a hard time to do some kind of reporting. So the decision maker, the idea comes from the C-level. Usually C-level, whether a CEO or a COO come to us and they said like, yeah, I have a very hard time to compile the report, and most of the team is doing it manually. They even spend one day for each week just to compiling the report.
Wow.
Not doing a sales, that just by compiling the report. So it wastes a lot of time, and they came to us and what can you do with this situation? How your solution can benefit our company? So that is where we come with the Bittrex 24. We show them, we tell them, we do some kind of a trial or POC with them, and we keep assisting them during the trial so they can get the benefit on that.
Okay. And then, like you said, when you do work with such a range of different company sizes, correct? How do you choose, which companies you can maybe upsell a feature to, or which companies that, you might need to offer a different tariff plan? How do you decide which plan you're going to sell to what company, basically?
Okay, so this is this is a very good question. So we have a large enterprise client insurance with let's see 1,000 employees, but we're wondering why they only buy for 50 users plan, for example. They can't go with the enterprise if the whole company is used. Basically, they want to try with the small thing first. Small thing first. They try with the one single division. Once those division is satisfied, but we see that this client has a very huge potential, and we try to talk with the head of the division, like can we invite other department to, I think we can solve the issue, let's say either in the legal department. We can use this to manage a contract, or HR department, we can use to manage the employee hiring process. So we kind of talk to the head of department. Okay, then they invite us to share some information. Then we do present, we do POC. Then it can expand to another plan, another functionality, and 80%, finally 80 or 90% of functionality can be used. But for a small business, less than 100 employees, it's much easier actually, because they are very open. Usually the procedure is not as strict as a large enterprise. So we just talk with the director, hey, how about we try with other division? I think this can benefit your legal department, since we see that you are doing it manually with another software, or even doing it manually with Excel. I think we have a solution. You don't need to pay us more. We just told you, I think this feature you can benefit you, and they are open to that. And from that, I think every company has the potential to expand to a higher plan. Just how we explain this to our client, I think.
Yeah, I agree with this. That's a great point, and many companies can benefit from the higher plans, but I think it's partner's job not to sell, you need this plan, but to explain the value, and so the customer would understand the value and would make the decisions themselves. So what strategies do you use to explain the value and deliver it to the customer so they can have an easier decision?
Yeah, we kind of talk with them. talk with the director. We ask them how your, let's say if it's a manufacturing, we ask what was your solution being used by the manufacturing division, for example. Usually they doing it manually, it's not integrated. Then we find a chance to utilize Bittrex in those division or manufacturing department, for example. And then they are actually they are very open, especially if you don't charge them for just a consultation. So we kind of offer them, let's try to use this in another department. When we try to other department and they're satisfied, okay, this solution can help us. Once they're happy with that, it will move to other departments. So when they say, I think it's already good, good enough for them, we can say that maybe you have other department. Can we talk to them? Can we talk how they are doing right now? And luckily they are actually very open if you ask them a question, in my opinion.
Great. Now, I think something that you did cover there was very helpful. Like you said, that different size clients that you do have, they might need different things based on the manufacturing, based on, wherever they are in. So I think it's really good to come back to understand that as long as you can just enter right into any sector, into any company and just offer, I think that's going to be the number one key thing you can do. Yeah. And here, it's not really about, if you are entering an enterprise company, you're not going to close the whole company. As Michael was saying, let's just start with one division. Yeah. Let's start with one branch. Like another thing Michael said, maybe a free consultation about this is how we can implement into this branch. And then once they actually see how it works into one branch, then you can actually, maybe upsell them on a different tariff, or maybe you can actually say, maybe we can try a different branch. I think that's a very good thing that does get overlooked, because people say, oh, these enterprise companies, they're not going to want to work with us. We're just a small partnership. We're, this and that. And I think it's just about getting your foot through the door and saying, listen, let's try to implement maybe with just one little branch and see how well it can move on. I think that's a really good strategy there. Thank you for that, Michael. I think it might be really helpful for our partners. Another thing I wanted to cover, a lot of our partners understand, they do need to upsell on the plans and whatnot. What's a big objection that you see from potential clients that say maybe it's too expensive or maybe they're not ready? What is the biggest objection of them upgrading to a higher plan?
Okay, so the price is one of the objection on that, but we told them that yes, it may be too expensive. It is used by only one division. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially on the enterprise client, they have a budget for each division. So we told them, why don't you invite other division to use Bittrex 24 as well? And you can split the cost between those divisions. We had that one case. One of them is PMO, the PMO division, the project management division of a manufacturing company. Mm-hmm. They really like the Bittrex functionality, but the cost will be the challenge. And then we say that, hey, we have a set answer. Unfortunately, your marketing division needs to make the sites, needs a website builder. Yeah. And they spend almost, I think, 100,000 USD or more each year just for revamping or building the website. Wow. Well, it's a lot. Why not why not use Bittrex where you can drag and drop? And then we invite those other divisions, the marketing division, and see all the functionality of Bittrex, and see that wow, we can use this. We can save a lot. So not just the project management tools being used by the project management division, but the marketing team can also use the marketing tools there. Since it's already in a package, they can split the cost, and it is already there, the functionality. So that's how we handle the objections regarding the price. Other maybe, yeah, we are not ready for it. I mean, sometimes they sell that it's too complex or the department is already, well, we can offer them some kind of trial, especially if they, we sell a lot of on-premise where it's not, when you get the on-premise, the feature is already there, right? Whether you use it or not, but the feature is already there. So we ask them, how about we try with the sales department? If it's only for project management, we tell them sales department. So then we invite the sales team to try the product, the CRM tools, and the sales team don't have to pay another cost for the additional CRM module. It's already built in there, and then they decided, okay, the sales team can use this. So we upgrade from 50 users to 250 users to accommodate for the sales team. So that's how we handle those objections from client.
Perfect.
That's perfect. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that the price might be the problem, because usually we talk that Bittrex24 pricing is super moderate. And yeah, you made a great point that you pay not only for the product, but you pay for the expertise of the partner, for your knowledge, for the years that you spend working with Bittrex24. And it's really good that you are not super shy about it, because many people I know, they're like, the price is too high. Oh, okay, so we're gonna lower our price. No, let's just bring the value and explain to our customer that we're worth it. That's a great point that you made. And just a following question. So if we're talking about upselling and upselling techniques, what are your upselling techniques that doesn't look too pushy? Because of course, upselling might look aggressive, that we want to steal the money from the client. How are we trying to upsell without being too pushy here?
This is a good question. We study from the similar industries, actually. So let's say we are selling to insurance industries, for example. One of them is using the CRM Bittrex, but other insurance industry, similar industry, is using the Bittrex workflow, especially for the handling. You know, in insurance, there are a lot of process regarding the administration process, document verification for the claim, for the new policy registration, a lot of process. So we tell these other insurance clients like that, hey, we have done this in a similar industry. So basically, you can digitalize your claim process. You can expedite the administration process using this workflow. And they kind of, well, interesting. Let's see how it works. We tell them this is the process that we can digitalize your process, and they see the value in the solution. And then after that, the interesting story is that after we managed to improve the other department, every time they wanted to have other solution, they always ask that, will Bittrex be able to handle that? So we were asked about Bittrex handling about the payroll functionality. We have asked about the Bittrex handling about the help desk ticketing functionality. A lot of them, when they wanted to procure something new, they ask whether Bittrex can handle it. If we cannot, then they will ask another vendor or another supplier to do that. So yeah, that's an interesting story. So Bittrex actually has a lot of capability. We just need to communicate with the client.
Yeah, so it always comes back to explaining the value. It's a great point you make.
Yes, and that's the thing that I kind of want to come back to. Out of all the things that, all the features that Bittrex24 does offer, what feature do you think is the most profitable for you? Like, what feature is the easiest to sell to your potential clients?
Okay, interesting question.
I'm sure it kind of bases on, on whatever the field the company is in and whatnot. But overall, out of their basic features, the modules we offer, what do you think is the one that's the easiest to sell and most profitable?
Okay, so right now we appreciate the Bittrex team for creating the smart process automation.
Oh, smart process automation.
Smart process
Okay.
automation. So the automation in general is very good, and added with the smart process automation, we can sell more to the client. If we sell CRM, yeah, there are a lot of competition out there, CRM. But with the smart process automation, we can integrate all of those. So we have a client using the smart process automation for credit notes, for a hiring process, even for e-procurement process, for a ticketing process, for the claim reimbursement for the insurance industry. So this single feature called smart process automation, we can apply it for any case, any industry. So I think we benefit more from this. So if we sell only CRM app, CRM for leads, deal, activity, that's all the CRM is doing that.
Sure.
Right? But if we can combine it with the end-to-end process for the one of the distributor, for example, they use smart process automation for a credit note request, for the delivery order management. Yes, they have a ERP, but their ERP is not very user-friendly, and it cannot be accessed by the sales team. So they integrate with Bittrex, and we use that for managing all the delivery order, all the credit notes, using the smart process automation. So I appreciate Bittrex team for creating those functionalities.
Great.
We use it a lot.
That is great. That is great. No, it's wonderful because a lot of people, a lot of our partners, they say, if we can't sell CRM or we can't sell the task module, it's hard to really, sell something. So here, I think it's wonderful. So, okay, if you do have a competitor CRM, you can always come in and say, look, we have these great smart processes that we're going. We can integrate with the CRM that you already have. So then you don't have to have them switch completely over to a new CRM. You could just always integrate the smart processes. And I mean, that's another win for our partners, I think, as well.
Yeah, sure. And I want to actually continue talking about the competitors, the competition, because it's not the upselling technique himself, but it's a really good decision-making factor that probably if you're working with the client, they're already considering some other product. And how would you differentiate Bittrex 24 from the competition and highlight its value even competing with other product?
Okay, that's a great one. So Bittrex actually helps a lot if we always being compared by another vendor. We just search the Google Bittrex alternative to some brands, and Bittrex already have made the comparison there. It's very easy, I think, to search for the competition, head-to-head competition comparison. I appreciate Bittrex team for doing that as well. And we always say that in general, we always say that we integrate all the functionality into a single ecosystem, in a single platform. Where with the other platform, you have to buy a Spirit tools for doing the collaboration. You have to buy a Spirit tool for task management. Let's imagine you can do it in a single platform. Your let's say if it's a distributor company, for example, let's say your sales team can raise create a sales order, a finance get notified, and a warehouse team get notified as well. The delivery team can know and prepare everything. Rather than a Spirit solution, you have to use the ERP, you have to use the WMS, every single solution. So you can integrate with the Bittrex platform as a single solution. So yeah, as of late.
Yeah, we always talk about our pricing model, that it's a great advantage of Bittrex 24, because the price itself is not the reason why people would buy Bittrex 24. Of course, the price is nice, but the pricing model, it helps you grow within this pricing model, because you buy the higher amount of seats, and you don't have to, if I'm hiring a new person, I don't have to go and buy it one more time, pay for one more subscription. It helps you grow, and it's really good that you mentioned it, because the pricing model is a really strong argument for a company who's trying to grow.
Yes.
and it helps the company grow for a longer period of time.
Yes, and something I wanted to touch base on that Michael said was that we do have a lot of resources that Bittrex24 provides. Like we said, we do have our alternative page and we have our articles page as well. But in our alternative page, we basically do, I mean, every month we update it for, you know, any new competitors that come out. We already have to have, you know, some kind of text to see this is how Bittrex24 lines up with the competition. So we are always ready for that. And the thing that I kind of wanted to get back to was, do you provide any training courses or do you provide any incentive to your clients to learn Bittrex24 more? Or is it just you say, look, we can train you for an additional cost? Or is there a way you can actually sell the training courses and the resources of Bittrex24?
Yes, in fact, we publish some of the training material in the YouTube, in our YouTube. It's in Indonesian.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And we also provide training to the client as well. And I think that's a very important part since a lot of functionality. So training is, yeah, it's the most important things we do for the successful implementation for the client.
Oh, okay. No, that's wonderful. Because a lot of clients as well, you know, that do reach out to our partners, they kind of want the partners to do everything, to fix everything, make sure it works. But then as soon as something goes wrong, it's like the product doesn't work. Or, you know, they go back to, it was a bad experience with the partner. So I think it's very, very important that our partners understand as well. If you're going to take on a project, you have to lead the client, you know, from point A to point Z. And for them to understand, if there's a problem with it, this is how you fix it. It's not about just setting it up and saying, listen, this is how it works. If scenario B goes wrong or if scenario C goes wrong, this is how you can fix it. So I think that's another thing Michael said. Having training courses maybe on a YouTube is a good way to kind of get your name out there and kind of encourage your clients to say, listen, this is the things I need to know about Bittrex24, and they will actually help them work in their everyday today business.
Yeah, and I've noticed that every time we talk to partners, in some way, our partner advice is to create YouTube videos.
Yes.
And guys, if you haven't started already, like every successful partner tells that we need to work with YouTube. So start right now or you might be late.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and speaking about educational products, have you noticed any correlation about companies who want to educate and want to learn more about Bittrex24 and their likelihood to upgrade to higher plans?
Yes, that's correct. We have a client who is very curious about a Bittrex platform, always exploring, always asking us every week, yes, always asking for new things. And I think it's great because when they ask a lot of things about Bittrex, they are seeing what kind of other things we can use in our company. And it turns out it possibly made them purchase a higher tier plan, and of course it will make them more loyal to our product because he really into a Bittrex platform.
Yeah.
He wanted to know more, and we need to assist them, of course, and how this can benefit their solution, this can benefit which department, this can benefit which part. We do some kind of a check-in as well regularly with the client, so that improve our churn rate was not really doing well earlier, but we changed our method, so this client will get always updated, educated about Bittrex platform. Now it's getting better, right?
That's great.
Great, and as far as like you said, you do try to build a relationship with your clients. What's the number one thing that helps you build that relationship with them? Is it going to be some resources? Is it going to be throwing in, I don't know, a free session for their team to understand Bittrex? What methods do you or tools do you like to give or do to your potential clients that will make sure that you're building a long-term partnership with them?
The first 3 months is very crucial for the client. So we make sure that it's the employee. So let's say we are selling it. The purpose is to improve the sales process. Then we make sure that the sales actually using Bittrex platform, actually putting all their activity data in there. We talk with the management, and if they allow, they give access as well to keep viewing. The Bittrex has a company pulse. And it's really helpful to see whether this client is actually using it or not, or which employee is not using it or not. Of course, with the permission of the management, we tell them that hey, it seems that some of the employee needs more training on or why they are not using it. Then we can provide another 1 to 2 hour session just to keep them using. So the first 3 months is very crucial. Once it has passed 3 months, maybe 6 months, we can check in while we update, share them the new update of Bittrex platform. We can also ask them, hey, how about the usage so far? How about how your sales team is helped by this platform? And we kind of gather their feedback as well during that session.
I mean, that's brilliant that you said something about the company pulse, because we've had so many, clients reach out, say they've used it. But I think this is one of the first scenarios that we've had a partner actually say it's a great way to check in on your clients to see actually, listen, why isn't, a sales team doing this, this, and this? We're not seeing activity here and here. So that's actually a brilliant tool to use just to make sure that your potential clients are working inside Bittrex 24.
Yeah, actually, was really happy to hear about the company pulse, because usually it's get overlooked by many other products.
Yeah.
And here is a simple yet very understandable and working scenario of how can you use this instrument, because it's been with us, forever since Bittrex 24 started, and it's really good that you find a great use of this instrument. And one other big point of upselling is the customer support and how do we support customer. It's good for creating this long-term relationship also. So can you explain how do you provide the customer support and how big of a role it has in your upselling process?
Yeah, it's a very big role, if I can say. Some of our clients who move from one vendor to another through us is because of the support. Because they are very difficult. Sometimes they just want to be listened. We have cases where the customer maybe after working hour they are worrying why I need to access this to get the report done. I cannot access. Why the system cannot be accessed? It turns out they turn on the caps lock during the putting the password. So it's a simple things actually, but we show them that we support them even after working hours. We have a team. I always ask my team in this case that support is very important in this case. Interesting story is that we have one client is a manufacturer of paint industries. So the procurement said like this. Why we always go with this specific Askarasoft partner? In Indonesia, we have other partner rather than Askarasoft. It's not fair if we give all the project to Askarasoft. So the procurement wanted the best price, so they are looking for alternative. Well, the user then come and said that to the procurement, said that please use Askarasoft. I call him during the weekend. He answered. If I found another part, you give me other part, I'm not sure that's
gonna happen. Customer service. That's it. Yeah.
So it's really important. Customer service is really important. Customer was always wanted to be heard. Yeah.
So just based on all the new things that does happen with Bittrex, we always have new features that come out. We always have updates on tools that come out as well. My question here is, how do you communicate to your clients about a potential new feature or a new tool that we do offer in Bittrex 24?
Yeah, I always ask my team, my sales especially, to communicate this regularly with the client. Bittrex new functionality, and average maybe twice a year, there always a new feature. use this to have a chance to communicate with the client, to maintain a relationship with the client, share them the functionality, the new functionality, and we often get some kind of upselling in those cases. We have clients who already churn. We ask them for a meeting for sharing a new functionality, and they kind of, wow, this is a new thing. This I wanted to subscribe again. In that case, we have also a client that see that, oh, maybe this functionality can be used by other division. Let me call other division. Come again tomorrow. I'm sharing this with another division. I think this will be very helpful for them. So this is kind of upselling opportunities. So use this chance to communicate with the client regularly. Twice a year, we use the chance to share with this.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's brilliant. That's actually really why we do have our Bittrex 24 updates, in our presentations, because clients that have been with us for a while and clients of our partners, they understand that when we do release a new feature, it's been tested, we've been gathering feedback, so it's definitely something that will make business for our clients better and will make, their workflows a lot more easier. So it's definitely great to hear that, you do share that with your clients as well, because like you said, it is a wonderful way to upsell. It's a wonderful way to get your client in the office and say, listen, this is how you can improve the workflow, and then again, upsell maybe on a higher subscription plan. So yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we're discussing this topic today, because we know that many partners have problems, that they are stuck with selling basic plan, they don't earn enough money, and in our new partner system they won't have enough points, and they are losing motivation, and eventually they just stop being partners and stop their business. And that's what we do in this podcast, because we want people to get better and just get more results. And that's why I think this topic that we're speaking today is really important. And I'm really glad that you shared your expertise with us. And in your experience, what's the most important lesson that you learned about selling value and driving upgrades for your clients?
Yeah, so I think that we really need to communicate the value, the value of the Bittrex 24 to the clients. That way we can upgrade or upsell this platform, because when we don't communicate the value, they just, they think that, this is enough for them. Not something that we believe that this Bittrex 24 platform has a lot of capability. People using a basic plan usually use, for the keeping the record of the sales.
Yeah.
But I believe company, if a small business, is more complex than that. We have started from a very small until now we have a lot of challenges, and I believe that even for a small company, if we can use the professional version, even though it's more than for 100 employees, but even though for 5 or 6 employees, it's really helpful actually. But since maybe the client don't know what the value bring with this product, that may be the challenge. So we communicate the value, tell them how this can benefit their company, how can this help their company growth. I think that's the most important lesson I get.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with this point. Yeah,
100%.
So, yeah, Michael, that's actually all the questions we got for today. I think we could continue for hours talking about it, but I'm really happy that we discussed this topic, because we know it's a big problem for many partners that they don't know how to upsell and do not know how to properly explain the value to the customer. So thank you for sharing your expertise with us, and thank you for joining us live in our studio. We're really happy that you did that.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for checking out another partners webinar with us, and thank you, Michael, again for coming in studio and joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And thank you, guys.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.